Network modernization is a critical step for digital transformation at government agencies. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and here to talk about that today is Ramesh Menon, Chief Technology Officer at the U.S. Department of Defense. Ramesh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask initially is, how would you say that the adoption of cloud and multi-cloud computing has impacted your agency's networking requirements and all that you're focusing on?
Excellent question. As you know, U.S. Department of Defense and intelligence agencies have fairly large and complex network. My agency primarily provides the top secret networks for the world. I mean, at least for our U.S. services around the world in lots of countries. And you probably know the journey to cloud. We had some large contract with C2S. Now we are moving to a hybrid multi-cloud environment, C2E. So the networks have to evolve. How can I deploy my applications on any cloud whenever I want, including edge nodes? So we are trying to modernize our JVIC's top secret network. We are looking at innovations in our wide area network, looking at things like SD-WAN, software-defined WANs that will create an abstraction layer so we can deploy our workloads to any cloud. We are also slowly exploring and understanding the 5G capabilities, the role of open radio access networks to understand the supply chain impacts and the economic impacts of the telecom companies. So I believe we understand it, we are working hard, and we want a resilient, secure networks to support the mission needs.
Well, I know you're all moving as on a very fast-paced effort to continue to improve all that. With that said, what are your top priorities over the next year to improve the performance and scalability of your networks?
Couple of things. Obviously, you probably have heard about something called Zero Trust that US government is doing. So when we create things like Zero Trust, we also need to ensure it is not just about cybersecurity, but the value it brings to the application in terms of performance, scalability, and how do we leverage the power of cloud and cloud native applications in deploying a workload to any cloud node, whether it's on a ship or a submarine or a satellite. So we make sure that our networks are resilient, our workloads are optimized for the cloud, and we are also starting to explore things like quantum safe encryption to improve the resiliency of our classified networks.
And as you think about those priorities and your acquisition plans, can you comment on how cost versus value will play into your decisions?
That's a very important question. Acquisition in government is not a simple process, as probably most of us know. But I believe our goal is to provide the value that it supports our mission priorities. The mission is more important. We are here providing critical capabilities for our warfighters and officers around the world, including our partners and allies. So value is definitely very important, and cost is a factor. So it is a standard procurement process that we go through, but ultimately we need to make sure that it not only supports today's requirement, but it's a strategic, sustainable investment that can be reused for future mission needs.
You mentioned Zero Trust before, and networks are obviously one part of several elements within Zero Trust. But thinking about networks specifically, what additional steps are you taking to build in greater security protections into your networks?
So a couple of parts, right? Networks are the underlying, like a freeway or the road. What runs on it is what we're protecting. So the data is what we're protecting. So we need to understand the concept of data fabrics and the cross-domain policies where we have implicit trust, the points of implicit trust, and make it explicit. The how we share APIs, how is it going to be shared? Is it a platform capability? How are our applications orchestrated to leverage this new architectural evolution? So while we become more secure and make sure we are resilient with the cybersecurity regulations, we need to make sure that we look in terms of value, not just a control to improve security, but as an enabler to accelerate the value for our mission partners and mission owners from an application standpoint too.
Well, and as we all know, the Department of Defense has so many networks all over the world that do need to continually be upgraded. What is your agency doing to try to speed up your network modernization procurement process? And can I also ask, What key issues are you still experiencing working with your technology partners?
I think luckily the big program for us is JVIC's modernization. It has been funded. It's a program of record. So we don't have any funding challenges per se, because once it becomes a program of record, things move. And then it's just a process. And it is one of the most secure networks we have for Department of Defense and Intelligence community. We are continuing to enhance the value and be that niche exclusive provider of that top secret network for our warfighters and policymakers in a world of rapidly changing technology. There's a lot of things happening. How do we pivot to hybrid multi-cloud? What does it mean for fielding an algorithm on an unmanned system? And doesn't matter what the capability is, there has to be a road below, which is the network. So we are working very closely with our partners, industry, and academia to make sure we have the best and the most resilient network in the world to support our mission needs and priorities.
Well, we certainly appreciate the scale and scope and magnitude of all that you're trying to manage there. And Ramesh Menon, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us here and share your observations and insights about network modernization.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. My pleasure.